These are Confessions of an Office Supply Junkie. I'm Joe Van Cleve. I'm an office supply junkie. Well, good day, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I have this Lamy Safari fountain pen. It has a converter cartridge in it. And last week, I took it out of storage and I noticed there was just a little bit of probably blue-black or black ink. I think it was blue-black ink. And I decided, okay, I'm going to mix some of my copper-colored ink with it, because I've been wanting to try that, right? Copper-colored, that's a little darker than copper by putting blue-black just a tiny bit in there. So I mixed a little bit of copper in there, maybe half or 2/3 of the way on the converter, and started testing it, and the thing wouldn't write very good at all. And it just, there's plenty of ink in it, but it's just not feeding. So I took this nifty little magnifying loupe, a gift from my friend Bill Teft, and I started looking carefully at the nib, and then as I was pressing the nib down against a piece of paper, flexing it slightly so I could see the groove in the center of the nib, it looked like whatever ink was in this nib was real sticky, kind of greasy looking, and so I think I need to clean the pen out. Well, there's a lot of videos out there about cleaning your fountain pen. This isn't the first one. This won't be the last one. Everybody has a slightly different way of cleaning them. I'm going to show you the way I like to do it. You might learn something from this, I hope. It might be slightly entertaining. Will I make a huge mess on my table? That's probably the biggest question. Will I come away from this with my hands stained with ink? Everybody wants to know this. Stay tuned. Well, okay, here we are. We are going to take the cap off and take the back of the body off. Going to pull off the converter, set the nib aside, and I'm just going to try to empty the converter of ink. And in the meantime, get some warm water in here. It helps to get some warm water so you can help to loosen up the old crusty ink that's in this converter. And it helps to fill the converter up a few times and let the water do its magic. It's not entirely perfectly clear right there. Okay, I'm going to take the nib assembly and I'm going to start flushing it with warm water. Nice and warm. And because I have all that sticky stuff in the slot of the feed, I want to flex it a little bit and try to get some of that out of there. Not too much, be gentle with it. You can see I'm getting some color now out of the nib, out of the feed. So that copper colored ink. This water is pretty warm. It's hot, but not boiling hot. So now what I'm going to do is fill the converter up with water and try to push some of the water through, and you can see I'm getting some more color out of it. And I just want to repeat that numerous times until I don't get any more color out of the nib. Okay, the next thing I've done is I've taken this little glass dish and I've sprayed some foamy Dawn grease cutting dishwashing liquid in there. I'm going to mix it with warm water, and I'm going to just put the nib in and let it soak for a little bit and try to loosen up some more of that. You can probably already see some of the color coming out. Just to loosen up some more of that ink before I try doing some more of this. And I probably should fill up my converter with some of this soapy water and try to flush it through a few times also. So what I've been doing here is drawing soapy water through the feed and nib into the converter, and then letting it dispense out onto this paper towel, and I can kind of gauge how much color is left in the residue. You can see it was pretty heavy here. And now, It's definitely less color. It's getting a lot clearer as I continue to flush this warm, soapy water in and out of the nib. And I'm pressing the tip of the nib slightly down just to spread the tines apart very slightly, just to help the capillary action to draw some of that water and ink out. So it's looking a lot clearer. Let's switch sides here. And we'll just do this repeatedly until it's as clean as we can get it. And I'm just going to flush some warm water through the whole feed to try to flush out as much of the soap as I can, and also the converter. I'm just going to make sure my converter is soap-free as much as I can. Just repeatedly fill it, empty it with warm, clean water. Then I can put the converter in onto the nib, and now I can flush the entire system with warm, clean water and hopefully get all the residual soap out. A little meticulous, but it's kind of fun. And there we are. That's about as clean as you can get it with soap and water. Alright, so let's see what the tines look like. Looks a lot cleaner. I don't see that greasy residue that I saw in the groove earlier. Well, okay, so I have some Copper Noir ink, Monteverde Copper Noir, in fact. And we have ourselves a little syringe. And we probably need something like this. Okay, so take apart the pen, take off the converter. There's a little bit of water in there still. So what I'm going to do here is just enough ink in the syringe for maybe half of this converter, like about that much. I'm going to stick it in there like that, and just maybe 2/3. Hey, that's more than I thought I would have. Yep, a little bit overflow there. Put the rest back. Okay. Wipe off the spillage. Cover the cap. There's a little meniscus of ink sticking above the surface of the converter. So that's good. Then, the next thing I want to do is, because I've totally washed this converter out, I want to just get a little bit of barely any ink in this converter, or in the syringe, and just enough to put a couple drops on the feed and the nib, just to pre-wet it with ink, like that. Not too sloppy and messy. Cap my bottle so I don't have a catastrophic ink spillage. Okay. Now, let's try doing some test writing and getting this nib to start flowing, shall we? That's better. Definitely better than it was. Well, it looks like it's writing pretty good. So, this is Monteverde Copper Noir. Yes. Now, of course, the fun thing about doing this live on camera, unrehearsed, is I'm working on a surface here that could easily get ruined with ink, as well as my sketchbook. My hands could get really dirty, but hey, if you're careful, you can do this without making any spills. Just got to be neat about it. These little syringes are super handy. I get these online. These are the kind of syringes used for refilling inkjet cartridges. And they're super handy for filling up converters and fountain pens and stuff like that. Yes, it is possible to clean your fountain pen. You should do it fairly often. And what happened with this pen, obviously, if you've deduced the whole story, is I left the converter uncleaned with a little bit of dark ink left in it. The stuff hardened up, became kind of sticky and sludgy and snot-like. Yes, I used the word snot. And hey, it's still writing good, and that's nice. Even darker than before, which means it's feeding great. That's how to clean a fountain pen. Let's see if we can make a little noise here. There it is. But in all seriousness, being able to clean your fountain pen nibs and feeds and converters efficiently and quickly is really part of the hobby of fountain pen ownership, because if you don't clean them, you might just ruin the nib. At least you'll clog them so badly that it'll take a lot of cleaning to get it right again. So it's just a matter of maintenance, having the discipline to do it. And if you're a person who likes to try different kinds of bottled inks, you might find yourself with a number of different pens in your collection, all with different kinds of inks in them, and you may not have the opportunity to use them as often as you'd like. If you have too many pens inked up at once, that can be a problem, because then the ones that don't get used very often, they're more likely to start having problems with the ink drying out. So again, being able to clean your pens is important. It's just like knowing how to change the oil in your car. Stay creative and have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye.